A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Nerf Secrets Revealed Aftersought. And now, today's selection that I'll be talking about is going to be yet another small one, so let's go ahead and bring it out. Yeah, as small as something like this would come. I mean, it is pretty much small in accordance to, well, the size of my hands. I mean, look at that. I need only close my hand to make this thing look very small by my own profile. And in general, this sidearm in particular is actually a pretty decent one, because this is in fact just a reskin of an older blaster known as the Talonstrike Side Strike. However, this version in particular has a lot more smoother functionality to it. This is the Aftersought Talonstrike. And that kind of reminds me, if I can refer back to the episode on the Teroth, which of course was known as the Mega Aftersought Talon, then well, I guess I could probably do that right now. So, in general, it doesn't necessarily perform any better. The Aftersought darts were in fact marketed to becoming the best kind of darts you could possibly find in the Nerf lineup itself, but unfortunately, most of the time, they don't really do any better than most elite darts in general. So let's just take note here. Talonstrike and Talon. I know that the adaptation of just using the term strike to at least help distinguish the two blasters alone, it probably would have been a good idea if only you played it right. But Talonstrike, Talon Strike. And the other one is just a Tarot. So I guess that should be the end of that, because there's going to be a lot of gripes I'll have against blasters with names and the like. But anyways, the Talonstrike in general does do pretty good around here. And just hit a metal pole with that. But anyways, it's got really smooth priming right here. I mean, probably because of how smooth the plastic is. I mean, it feels kind of soft too. Kind of glossy, as a matter of fact. It almost kind of reminds me of the kind of plastic that they've used on some of those other toys out there. Usually some of those really old ones, in which they have this sort of glossy finish to it. And that probably is to help make it a lot more smoother and softer to the touch, but in general, I'd say it's a pretty good usage on a blaster like this. So I could easily just prime it with one hand too, look at. All I gotta do is press my thumb against the back end of it, and it's primed pretty much, but that's just after I'd already primed it with two hands. So let's try it with one hand now. Yeah, so it can be done. The bottom line is, though, is that compared to using it with two hands to prime, it's not necessarily that easy. But depending on what your size is and what your height is in general, I'm just under 6 foot. So of course, how big my hand is probably would have to correspond to how easy the prime could probably be. But other than all that, its color scheme is different, but everything's pretty much the same. Its usage of a top priming is still there, just like the Side Strike. It has one dart for the barrel and 2 dart storage barrels down here. So that's 3 barrels in total. So, of course, there's not much else you could probably distinguish it from the Side Strike other than just its color and its name. But also its performance is kind of improved as well. Simply because, well, this is an Aftersought blaster, so you can pretty much expect this to utilize its Aftersought based technology and the usage of having internals on it that are a bit more advanced than that of the Side Strike. But I will say that the Side Strike's merits in and of itself are pretty parallel to this, because unlike the Side Strike, this doesn't really come with its own holster, but that this actually came with its own target and the like. I actually bought this at a Walmart months ago, so of course this is pretty much just one way to put at it. And I will say for sure that the Aftersought series itself is pretty well known for at least trying to adapt to the usage of more accurate darts out there, but let's try a little something different. I will say that the twirling's pretty good on this one as well, just like some of the others I've already touched up on. But let's go ahead and try out a little firing demo of the Invisibullet. Well, alright then. That kind of solidifies it there. Just like with a few other pistol-esque blasters, the Side Strike does have a lot of good things, but unfortunately, some bad things are, well, I mean, the grip is probably one of the only things out there that might be what this blaster might not seem to be likely for everyone out there, because after all, it's got a much more slender sort of feel to it. It feels a lot more slender than that of some other pistol-esque blasters that I've already talked about. But in general, I'd say this pretty much fits good in the hand, but depending on what your size is, what your height is in general, you might be able to, one, be able to prime it with one hand while your other hand's busy with something. And the second is that, well, I could comfortably fit all fingers in my hand, although my middle finger kind of rubs up on my thumb occasionally. And that could probably get a little abrasive right there. But in general, wow, the finger twirling, it feels pretty smooth, probably because of how nicely polished this thing has. I mean, it's sort of matte finish and glossy finishes. They correspond to each other pretty good here, so that's just another way you could probably say it. Other than that, though, the Talonstrike does have itself plenty of good things out there to make up for some of the more slender sort of feels to it. Wrapping your hand around a grip might be kind of a chore to try and figure out how to hold it in the most comfortable way possible, but its function is great, its styling is fantastic, and the prime is smooth, and the trigger pull is also a bit smooth as well. Other than that, it's pretty basic for what it is. Just like with some other pistol-esque blasters though, this one has only one tactical rail. I probably couldn't imagine putting down a dart storage, for example, because the darts might fall out easily. Or what if someone tried to put a grip attachment like what's been on the Retaliator? I guess, I don't really know. I don't really know how it's supposed to look, but okay. Now I pretty much dropped the blaster right there, but anyways, that's all I got here to talk about based on the Falcon and Talonstrike itself. The Talonstrike itself is pretty good and all that good stuff, but there's going to be plenty of other blasters that I'll have to talk about. But if you want to see more, go down on my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.